Put it down and get out now. If you're looking for insurance money, you're not gonna find any.
I don't want your money.
All right.
I'm gonna turn around now.
Please don't move.
Please just take a deep breath. I'm gonna turn around, okay? Please try to relax. Take your finger off the trigger, okay?
Is that you?
Please take your finger off the trigger. It's okay. It's okay. Hey,
Oh my God.
try to
How
breathe.
is this possible?
Take a deep breath.
How is
Put the
this
gun down. Put the gun down.
possible?
I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Try to breathe. It's okay. It's okay. Just try to take a breath.
Wait,
all right?
it's you.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
How is
It's
that
all right.
possible?
I don't know. Wait.
Baby.
Hey, wait. Are you expecting somebody? Did you bring somebody back to the house with you?
No.
Whoa.
Hello.
They're all here for me, so
Wow.
relax.
Cool. Warm
Don't get a
welcome
big
for
head
Lee.
now.
Yeah.
So we just saw a little bit of a clip from this movie. It's quite the concept. So I think we all need this lovely audience might need you to help explain what's happening in SelfLess.
Yeah, SelfLess is it's about a billionaire magnate played by Sir Ben Kingsley, who's a real up-and-coming actor. And he's at the end of his life, basically. He's got cancer, he's going to die, and he wants to carry on desperately. And he's heard of this clandestine organization that will take one's consciousness and put it into a vessel, like a lab-grown body. And he spends about $250 million to do this and have this process done. He's got nothing to lose, so he just gives it a shot, and it works. He soon finds out that this body, this vessel that he's taken over, is not lab-grown. It's, in fact, a living, breathing person who sacrificed his life and had a wife and a child. And the two consciousnesses are in this one body, and they're kind of, there's a sort of a duality, like a struggle between them. And much like an organ being rejected, like from an organ donor. And he starts to uncover that this is not all as it seems, and he realizes he's made an incredibly grave moral error in doing this. So,
But at first, an older man in a younger man's body, he has some fun. He goes back into his 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
How is that for you to kind of do the opposite of what's normal? So you have an older brain in a younger man's body. How is that to perform?
It was a strange thing. Like Ben and I had spoken a little bit about how we were going to sort of approach this, and it's at the end of the day, you just kind of think like, what, if somebody was in their 70s and they had this opportunity to just kind of be relaxed and let go, all they'd done their entire life is work. Part of the reason he wanted to do this was to just experience what it was to just breathe again and take a deep breath and live his life. So yeah, he gets into it and parties a little and plays a little basketball and does all these things that he's always wanted to do. And, soon enough, he's running for his life, as you normally do. So, yeah.
I was going to say, there's a lot of action, a lot of cool stunts with cars, and there's lots of guns going on. Tell me about preparing for that. Did you have to, you play sort of I don't want to give much away. It's very difficult to bounce around these spoilers, but, you played two men, and one of these men is pretty fit.
Yeah, well, it turns out that the host body that he's into is actually kind of he was an Army guy. He was a Marine, and he joined this company or this group of people and donated his body in exchange for an enormous amount of money that would save his own daughter's life, who was terminally ill. So he did it for altruistic reasons, whereas Ben Kingsley's character did it for the opposite. He was very nefarious in the reasons he wanted to do it. So it does have a lot of action and a lot of stunts and car chases and stuff that just so goes over my head when we're shooting. I just kind of let these amazing stunt coordinators and such sort of take care of it for me. But I'm not one of those guys that absolutely insists, like Tom Cruise, to be hanging on the outside of the 747. I do have a 6-month-old daughter I need to raise, so but you try to do as much as you can. You do as much as they'll legally let you. I don't know who Tom Cruise's lawyer is, but clearly he gets to do things that us mortals
He
don't.
might be his own lawyer. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think he
yeah.
pretty much is. I think that he's achieved that status a long time ago. I've no doubt he's passed the bar. Yeah, by now. I mean, if not, that's just lazy. So
yeah, this is very much a story too about men and their daughters. So you have two different men and they have two different relationships.
Yeah.
Tell me about that a little bit. Being a new parent, did you learn anything? Was this before you had the baby, or?
Yeah, I mean, you suddenly like feel the inexorable march of time go by. I don't know. There's nothing that I guess ages you faster than having a kid, and that's not because you wake up in the middle of the night every 5 seconds because someone's got to shit themselves. It's really because you said you're looking at this person and time just starts flying by. You just think like, how is it possible that you're already half a year old when most people are given at best 90 of these years to be here on this planet. So you start to look at it like that, and it freaks you out a little bit. You start to try to make the most of the time you have with this person.
You played opposite an adorable little girl, and there's some cute scenes in there. How is that? How is it to act against a child actor?
Yeah, I wasn't a parent. When we shot this film, it was 2 years ago. I wasn't, my daughter wasn't even a blink in my eye yet. So, I can fake empathy pretty well. I could pretend that I like that kid. But honestly, showbiz kids are monsters. I think we all know that. Now, this little girl was very, very, very sweet. The kids are always sweet. It's just the crazy showbiz parents. I never had showbiz parents, so I don't know, but I've seen some really, really amazing ones. Yeah, you're just, yeah, wow. I'm like one blink away from obscene violence when I'm around them sometimes. But this little girl seemed to have her head on right and had some really good parents, and yeah, it was a joy working with her for sure.
And what was it like? Did you pick up the script and go, wow, I want to do this movie? We talked a little bit about backstage about how you've been selecting a few different films. You just did The Voices, Woman in Gold.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you pick a film and what's your process like?
Well, I don't have like a specific kind of strategy, as you can probably tell. It's kind of hit and miss. But I mean, things like The Voices, that was a movie that I wish got a better release, because it's one of my favorite films I've ever been a part of. Just that opportunity. You look at things like that, like it's an opportunity to take a character that's a serial killer and try to make him, at least in the audience's eyes, an empathetic soul and somebody that you actually kind of root for. And that was the weird, the way we screwed with people's minds in that movie is by the end of the film, you're kind of just rooting for this guy, and then you sort of have a sober second thought where you realize he's just murdered everyone. But we sort of love him nonetheless because he does really mean well, genuinely. So it's like challenges like that I love that. Taking stereotypes and just finding some way to kind of flip them around a little bit. But this in SelfLess, part of it is just working with great people. I've had a great year where I did a film with Helen Mirren and then now Sir Ben Kingsley, and that was part of it too. Sir Ben signed on, and I've always wanted to work with someone whose first name was Sir, so that was cool. That was great. In Canada, we don't get that. We don't get like knighted or anything. Even though we're part of the Commonwealth, I feel like that's bullshit. If we do something awesome, they give us like a pylon.
Well, you just had Canada Day. How did you celebrate?
That's true. All we do is exchange crisp high fives. There's nothing, nothing extraordinarily patriotic about it. But yeah.
You also work with Victor Garber in this, Matthew Good.
Yeah.
What do you learn from those actors when you were working on this movie?
You pick something up from everybody you work with. To go back to Helen Mirren, I was shocked when I worked with her because on our first day it was actually our table read. It was the first day everybody got together on this film, and she. Am I allowed to swear on this, or is it bad?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, good.
It's
the
the
internet, right? Fuck it. Okay, so I feel so much better. God, thank you. Okay, so the first day it was a table read, and Helen Mirren is sitting beside. I mean, I'm geeked out because it's freaking Helen Mirren, and she leans over to me and she goes, "Ryan, I'm so fucking nervous right now." And I'm like, "Helen, you're Helen fucking Mirren. Get it together." But it was incredible experience. I remember, I thought, so I'm never gonna forget this moment. I'm sitting here with one of the greatest actresses on the planet, and she's nervous on her first day, and I thought that was so beautiful. That was just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard. I thought, wow, if only everyone was like that, you know, that no matter how many years you do something, you don't get jaded, you're passionate about it, you love it, and it spoke to so much of what I love about this industry, even though it's very easy to find so many things that are detestable about it. There's truly great people that work in it, and artists and people that are, you know, living, breathing human beings, not just sort of products that we've created. I just love that. That to me was a huge lesson. Yeah.
And then you probably wanted to crap your pants because you were so nervous because Helen Mirren was nervous, correct?
Exactly. Even just talking about it, I'm peeing right now. So yeah, it was incredible. And then, so, you know, Ben Kingsley, it's just, that's another guy who's just an absolute legend, and spending time with him was a privilege for sure.
Speaking of being nervous, there's this little film that's about next year will come out called Deadpool.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to, of course, ask about this. You just finished filming. How was that to finally get this film made? I know it took a long time.
Yeah, I mean, God, we shot our last frame of the movie exactly 5 weeks ago, and it was just, I don't know, it was every second of it. I couldn't take a second for granted. It was like, for me, it's 11 years of waiting to do this guy, and you know, that doesn't happen too often in a business like this where you wait that long, and they don't just say, well, you can't do it anymore because you're old. You know, but this was one of those characters that we all hung in there, and then 6 years ago we wrote a script, and that script was awesome. I mean, it was right out. It was as if the creators of the character Deadpool themselves, if they imagined the best iteration of their script in a film format, that was it. We had it, and but it was really risque, and it was rated R, and it was hardcore, and you know, these studios, these are properties that they're invested in and that they protect, and they don't want to mishandle them. So they sort of, you know, by default, were locked in total inaction, and nothing would happen, no matter how much we pleaded and begged. And I remember when I just had auditioned for Green Lantern, and I wrote a letter to the executive at Fox, and I said, if I do this next round of auditions on Green Lantern, I think I'm gonna get it. And I just wanna ask you right before, it was like that moment before you get married and you have the one other person that you're still pining for, and you go back to them and you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna marry this other person. And are you gonna say something now or forever hold your peace? So it was like that, and Fox was like, well, we can't, you say yes right now. And I said, okay. So then once I did Green Lantern, I thought I'll never get an opportunity ever again to do this. It really was sealed. But we did shoot this sneaky test footage, and that's what did everything for us. We created this test footage, which was largely computer generated in Venice 5 years ago, and it was only meant for in-house. It was only meant for to be seen in Fox, and for the executives at Fox. This thing got passed around Fox. Everybody loved it, but nobody wanted to do anything with it. And then lo and behold, a year ago, somebody leaked it. And as soon as it leaked, I called Tim Miller, the director, but he was already calling me to go, was it you? And I was calling him to go, you leaked it. Yeah. You leaked it, admit it. But we still don't know who leaked it. And regardless, long story short, is that it is the reason this movie is getting made, is they saw the response by the fans and on Twitter and on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere, skywriting. They did all kinds of stuff. And they're the reason that we got to make this film. And I'm so grateful for that. So it was a great experience shooting the movie because we were shooting it for them, you know, the whole time.
And it is going to be R-rated, right?
Oh, very much so.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Sorry, kids.
Very
sorry.
much so. Yeah, I know. There's like some 12-year-old flipped me the bird a couple weeks ago because I was like, sorry, man. I don't make the rules.
So how was that to go, you know, take on another superhero? Were you nervous at all to bounce, you know, back from Green Lantern? Now you have to balance too.
I would if I was in a situation in which he was a superhero, but Deadpool's not really a superhero. He's an anti-hero. He's, you know, we touch on different sort of themes of that in the film, and there's certainly some X-Men action in there too, a little bit here and there. So, it's something that he kind of fights against a little bit. So he's always kind of walking that line. He's this morally flexible anti-hero, and so it's nice to play a guy who you don't automatically assume, oh, he's got a big heart. You actually sort of enjoy seeing little shreds of heart somewhere in there throughout the film. So.
And this X-Men thing, it wouldn't happen to be Wolverine that's making an appearance, would it?
I hope that happens, but we'll just have to wait and see. So it's anything's possible in a movie like that. So.
And before I get to audience questions, because Ryan here asked me specifically to go throw to you guys because he wants to hear from you. I have one thing that I want to say is that Just Friends, which is one of my favorite movies, is 10 years old.
Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, that is old. Wow.
Well, I still love it. I watch
crazy.
it like every
Criterion
year.
collection at this point. Wow.
What do you remember from your time on the set of Just Friends?
I do remember that was the hardest time I ever had on a film set because I am allergic to not laughing at Anna Faris. I don't know what it was. She just starts opening her mouth, and I'd have to shoot my coverage with the back of her head because I just couldn't keep a straight face. So I loved it. I mean, we all shot in Saskatchewan, in Regina, Saskatchewan, which is that is in the middle of Canada, and Regina rhymes with fun. I'll tell you that much. It is really, it's a semi-small town. It's not a tiny town. It's got a industry, and it's but you sort of when you get there, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be hell, and it actually was amazing. We loved it. We loved the people there. We loved everything, and there was a good 60, 70 feet of snow all around us, so there was nothing to do but interact with each other inside bars, and that's where trouble happened. So that was a little bit in the wild days for me. That was yeah.
It should be, hey.
Yeah, I get. If you can't get wild in Regina, where can you get wild, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Am I right? Am I right? Anyone want to go visit Regina with me?
Let's do it, guys. Road trip. It's just a nice 33-hour bus ride. Right?
All right, well, there's like a million of you out there, so raise your hands if you want to ask Ryan a question. Oh, we got a ton. Right over here.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. I recently read online that you're a fan of Unreal, and Constance Zimmer is actually coming tomorrow. She plays Quinn.
Oh, great.
So I wanted to know your thoughts on the show, why you like it, and if you think that it's kind of based on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and if you even watch The Bachelor, Bachelorette.
That's a lot.
Jesus. Wow. I just landed from Bangkok. Ease up. All right? I can't film my life right now. Okay, Craig Bierko is a good friend of mine who's on that show, and he's somebody I've known for a long time, and I really, really enjoy him. And I do think there are elements that I would love to ask Constance or Craig that, if they think that it's directly based on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, shows that I wouldn't be bothered to see. I've seen everyone. It's like crack. So yeah, that's I've seen some of the shows, and it's a long time ago. I used to think, God, like is there any better way to waste time than reality television and like the internet and all those things? These are all things that I've literally strapped to my face for the last 3 years now. Like, joke's on me, because honestly, like I'll watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and I can't turn it off.
Who's your favorite Kardashian?
What? This is a trick question. I see. Please, well, Kim, I suppose, is the most kind of Kardashian of them all, right? I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, right over here. Second row.
Hi, I'm Mitch. I wanted to ask, how intense was it to work with Ben Kingsley insofar as trying to become him for the role?
Did you say your name is Edge?
Mitch.
Mitch, sorry. I was like...
I'm on Edge.
I was like, wow, you two's on tour right now. You're in the wrong room. It was, there wasn't a lot of... I mean, you're in the film, you're dealing with dueling consciousness, so it's both of these people that are kind of coming out of this guy. So there was no real opportunity to do like an impression of Sir Ben Kingsley, and these shoes are way too small for that. I can't possibly imagine having to do that. But it was neat being around him, and certainly he's, I think that guy is like, he could honestly power a small town with his intensity. When you're just around him, I've had the great privilege of working with him and also Denzel Washington, and it's weird that they remind me of each other and just how their energy can fill a space, and then they can make it evaporate in just a second, and that's sort of what the real gift of guys like that is. He's a pretty remarkable guy. Yeah.
Yes? Oh.
Okay. Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
So these are the 2 most important questions of your life, okay?
Wow.
Okay.
Oh shit! You've been talking to my mom.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay. So the first question is, how does it feel to have a wife who's literally slays it on the red carpet with whatever outfit she has on? The second question is, what is your opinion on Beyonce?
Wow.
Life-changing questions, Ryan. Think long and hard.
I love you. I'm serious. My wife knows how to work a red carpet. I'll say that. Yeah, she might be the Beyonce of red carpets. So, yeah, she's definitely. I mean, she's turned that into an athletic event. I see what goes into that. Real science. It's unbelievable. You guys see the finished product. I see a totally destroyed closet, bedroom, and kitchen by the time she walks out the door. So, yeah, you're like, I don't even know how shoes got in the freezer. It's like that. It's seriously nuts. There's kung fu involved. It's really intense. And Beyonce, she's the Michael Jordan of music to me. I've seen 4 of her shows, and that's what comes to mind every time. She's incomparable. I guess you could just say she's Beyonce. You can't really say like she's the this of the that. It's that terrible thing that everybody does. But honestly, she's the Michael Jackson of Beyonce. So, yeah. Good question.
Where do we have? Right here.
Right here. Hello.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you for Van Wilder.
Oh,
And
you're welcome.
second, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And second, I just want to ask, throwing your hat into the sort of, there's so many superhero movies out there, and I know you mentioned Deadpool's your favorite, but given that all superhero movies, X-Men, everything is connecting these days, in your dream, which one would you like to see your Deadpool share the screen with?
Like in terms of like a team up,
Yeah.
sort of thing. I mean, I don't know if it'll happen ever, but the friction between Deadpool and Wolverine is unlike anything else. I mean, there's a lot of things that might have been wrong with the first Wolverine origins. I mean, it was certainly that the chip stacked against it from the beginning. But one of the things I loved about that movie was just the brief but pretty lively interaction between Wolverine and Wade Wilson. So that's like the dream. For me, I mean, that would be great. But, there are things in the Deadpool movie that might change that. There are things in the Deadpool movie that might make you think, wow, I'd really like to see this pairing or that pairing. Or, as you know, he's a guy that knows he's in a comic book movie. So he's pretty unfiltered when it comes to talking about the other X-Men as well. So, yeah.
Over
Hey
here?
Ryan, thanks
Hey.
for being here. Just Friends is like one of my all-time favorite movies.
Cool. Thanks.
My question is, you've worked with so many great actors and actresses in the past, and who would you like to collaborate with next?
That's a good question. I've been really lucky to work with a ton of greats. Next, I don't know. I'd love another crack at working with Bateman. He's been a friend of mine for about 20 years, and I just really love his work in the dramatic field and the comedic one, and he's also an emerging director, and so I'd love to have another dance with him at some point. But yeah, I don't know. And I've been the last couple of years. I've sort of ticked off some big names off a list if I were to have a list, and certainly Helen Mirren was one of them. Denzel Washington was one of them. Ben Kingsley, because that guy's no slouch. So I don't know. I think probably Bateman though. I'd love to have another crack at working with Bateman. Yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
So for one, I'm probably your biggest fan, and I'm trying not to fangirl right now. But
Whoa.
that aside,
I'm going to adjust the mic.
Oh, hello. So you've really run the gamut in terms of your serious scenes, your comedic scenes, and I know for one, for Just Friends, I can't stop laughing at the scene when your mom is like, Joyce, and you're on the
God,
phone.
that is my real mom, by the way. We hired Julie Haggerty because she sounds so much like my mom.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My sister's gonna freak out when she sees this. Anyway, my question is, what's your favorite scene in every movie you've done? I know this is like a huge question, that you really enjoyed filming. It could be a serious one, it can be a funny one. No pressure.
Oh, that's tough, man. Because I want to pick one that you'll know, but none of you guys saw this. The Voices is a movie I did. There's a scene in the movie where I'm having a conversation with my cat and my dog, and I play a character that's extremely mentally impaired. And I was shooting the scene where my cat has this sort of Scottish brogue. He sort of sounds like that. He's evil. He's a little fucker. And the dog is like, this guy sort of sounds a little bit like, Billy Bob Thornton or something. And I'm doing this scene, and I remember watching the playback of it because the cat and the dog are there, but I'm doing all three characters in the scene. So for me, it was kind of a dream come true to just be shooting one scene where I'm inhabiting three different characters simultaneously and not urinating pure confetti. So it was just mind-blowing. So for me, that was the most fun I've ever had shooting a scene. And then I would say that physically, there's a fight scene in Safe House, which for me is one of my favorite fight scenes I've ever done. It's with Denzel and an actor named Joel Kinnaman, who's great. It's like a sort of long, protracted fight scene. That's one of my favorite. Buried is one of my favorite dramatic films that I've ever done. And comedically, Just Friends was always special for me. The Proposal had a lot of great moments and scenes in it that I look back on with a lot of fondness. So, yeah. How's that for not answering your question at all? Yeah. And just running through a self-gratifying resume.
Yeah. What else can you throw in there? Crudes
Yeah, God.
and Wilder. We have some. Oh, there you go.
Hi there.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
I'm Ginger. Question for you. Was your daughter on set for SelfLess? And also, how are you balancing fatherhood with working? Because they always talk about moms, how moms are balancing motherhood with working if they're actors.
Yeah. Because the men have it hard. No, my daughter was, SelfLess was shot 2 years ago, so technically my daughter was on set, but, and then balancing it is, it's a juggling act. It's like anything, I'm incredibly grateful and lucky to have the job that I have. I'll say that to be totally frank and serious. And I don't take it for granted for a second. We have long hours, but we also get breaks. And unlike most people who get 1 week off a year, I might have 3 months off or something like that. So I really cherish that, and especially having a daughter. Those 3 months used to drive me insane when I was a young buck, single and carefree. Now I just want to be with my daughter. So yeah, I mean, when I wrapped Deadpool, I wrapped it 5 weeks ago, and within an hour, I'm not joking, I still had like chunks of glue from the scar makeup on my face as I was boarding a plane to Bangkok so I could get to my wife and baby right away. So yeah, I'll do anything to be with them, and it's but the balance is not as hard as your average working American or Canadian. It's I afforded a little bit more time. So yeah. Thank you.
We have time for one more.
One more.
Hi, my name is Perry. It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I have 2 questions. I was wondering, when you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up? And are there any roles that you haven't played yet that you've been itching to play? More like a genre.
Yeah. When I was little, my dad was a cop, and my brother is a Mountie. He's an RCMP officer. Yeah, and so I looked up to them, and I wanted to be in that field, And then I think it was around 6th grade, I was with my other brother, and we were at our elementary school. It was on the weekend, and we were trying to set fire to the building. And I thought at that moment, I'm probably not going to be a cop. And I thought maybe the next logical step was either, some form of criminality or showbiz, which is almost the same thing. So I ended up in showbiz by the time I was 16 or 17. I was working a graveyard shift at a grocery store, midnight to 8 a.m. for a year, and doing improv comedy in the day, and I loved it. That's why I moved to Los Angeles, was to do improv comedy. I thought I would show up at the Groundlings front door, and they would just put me on the main stage, which is idiotic. They were like, "No, you idiot! You're gonna take our class, and then 3 years maybe you'll be able to get on the main stage." But and then in terms of the genre or role, I've always wanted to play Chet Baker. I love his story, and I love everything that he went through. And there's an amazing cinematic journey there. So maybe one day I'll get that chance to do that. He was an amazing man who had a lot of demons, and I think there's a great story to be told there. So hopefully, one day we'll see. Yeah. And before we go, I just want to apologize for everything I've said. So, thank you for your patience with me.
Well, we're very happy that you joined us today, and I know everyone out here really enjoyed this. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Everyone go see SelfLess.